relationships. First of all, not just as an assistant, I heard Coach Honeycutt, and I know he's just retired and everything this year, and we're going to miss him dearly. And if young coaches are out there, you don't know who Coach Honeycutt is, you need to get to know who he is and what he stands for and what he does. But it was 25 years ago at a small coaching clinic at Southwest Texas, back when it was Southwest Texas. Coach Honeycutt was a guest speaker for us. And it stuck with me from that point all the way through today. And I think about it all the time when somebody says, what's your role as a coach? Well, he had a daughter that was going to school in Lubbock and they were living in San Marcos. And every time she would leave, she was driving 5 or 6 hours to go there. He told her before she left every time, if you ever have a problem at whatever town you're in, you stop and you call a coach. And I know she'll be taken great care of. And I think you can't say what our responsibility is as a coach any better than what Coach Honeycutt did with his daughter. And I think we've got to embrace that role. When that phone rings and somebody needs some help, be it one of our former players, be it somebody that knows a friend of ours or anything like that, how can we go help? And what can we go do to put that person in a better place? More specifically, what I'm going to talk about today is what is my role as an assistant coach? Okay, I've broken it down into a lot of things, but I think first of all and foremost, my role as an assistant coach is to make the school I'm at the best it can possibly be. I talk to kids all the time in recruiting about making a decision based on academics, athletically, and socially. I think it's our same job as assistant coaches. What can we do academically in the classroom? Okay? How can we make that classroom setting the best that it can possibly be where we can go teach? I've got a huge problem with a group of people out there now that are talking about how, well, coaches are not very good teachers. I don't think they're very well educated or informed on what a coach has to go do. How can I make TCU the best university it can be? That's being involved in the community too. How can I give back? How can we as a high school program adopt somebody that needs some help? How can we teach our kids to give back to those that don't have and do something for somebody that can't do anything for you? Okay. How can I make TCU better from a athletic standpoint? How can we put a product on the field that we're really, really proud of and we can go in and compete day in and day out with everything that we do? Okay. Secondly, it's my role as an assistant to support and be loyal to the head coach. Okay, he gave me a job, just like every one of you, your head coach gave a job. Okay, we have got to go be loyal to him, and we'll talk a little bit about what loyalty means to me individually and to what it means to you. What's your definition of loyalty? How do I go be loyal? Okay, I've got to do, as an assistant, I've got to provide ideas that may be a little bit different that will help us, again, in different forms of the program. How can we tweak our off season? What kind of X and O things can we go do as a program that may make us better? How can we go out and research and how can we do those things? I'm going to go back to the loyalty deal for a second because I think it really ties in with bringing up ideas. I think it is so healthy and so needed to sit in staff rooms and to sit into offensive and defensive staff rooms and special team staff rooms and have really, really good conversations. Okay, bring up ideas that may be a little bit different, but it's also my job to make sure that those ideas can be something that we can go do within our program and how we go do things. But when we walk out of that door, we've all got to be on the same page. It's got to be how we are going to do it. It's our idea, and it's us now that are moving forward with what we do. I think something else that becomes really important as an assistant coach to do and is a necessary part of being in an elite program is how well do we know our players? Okay, it's my job as an assistant to know how Garrett does something. Okay, how does Garrett go learn, first of all and foremost? Okay, what kind of things make Garrett tick? What is he excited about? Where does he want to go? What does he want to go do? What does he want to accomplish as a person? What does he want to accomplish as a player? And how can I help him go there? What's his family situation like? How does he handle different things that happen to him? What makes Garrett tick? And the more I know about those things, the easier it's going to be for me to reach Garrett and do those things when it comes time to go teach Garrett something different, when it comes time to go push Garrett on the football field in ways that he's not been pushed. And I think that is so important, and that may be the most important thing we can do as an assistant coach is really get to know our players. I think some key ways to go do that, get on their space sometimes. Have a kid over to your house for a barbecue. I think it would be an unbelievable opportunity as a high school coach to go do a home visit like we get to do as college coaches. Go sit into a kid's home, see exactly what that environment's like there, and get to spend quality time with him where they can ask you questions too, and they're really comfortable. Parents are around, or parents may not be around, but it's their home turf. How can I make them feel more comfortable that when we do have a problem or there's something that comes up, hey, we can go solve this thing better and really get to helping that young man as it happens. I think something else that becomes important when you're talking about being an assistant coach or being a part of a staff or a winning program is, what are my expectations in the office? Okay, I think the office setting is something, first of all and foremost, it's got to be a professional deal. Okay, when it's time to go to work, we need to get ourselves in there and we need to go work. Okay, there's a job to go be done, and we're going to be judged on the job and how we go do that. Okay, what does being professional mean? Okay, I think it means treating people with respect in that office. Doesn't matter if it's the secretary, doesn't matter if it's managers, trainers, any of those people that you run across. It may be parents, it may be boosters, it may be community members, but you're going to run across a bunch of different people day to day walking down your hallway, and they are all going to have an opinion of you. It may be a visiting parent that's come over to buy tickets for a game and you happen to see them in the office. They're all going to have an opinion of you and how you run your program. I think it's so important, and it is our job to make sure that we put our best foot forward and we give those guys the opportunity to have a great opinion of us. Treat people with respect, smile, say hello, be around them, do those things. Also, I'll talk later about what it means to master the things that take no talent. Okay, if I will go and master those things that take no talent, I'm going to be so far ahead of the curve, it's not even funny. The biggest thing about mastering things that take no talent, I think, is being on time and being prepared. If I am an assistant coach, I can't come in right before a meeting starts. I can't, whenever I leave the office, not expect to spend any time giving my players an opportunity to put them in the best position that we possibly can. So when I come into the office, be a professional. Okay, we've got a job to go do. We've got to work well with each other. Treat people on the outside with respect. Treat people on the inside with respect. Be prepared and be on time, because your kids will see that. They know how you've prepared for a meeting. They know how much time you spent on your lesson plans going into that classroom. They see the same thing on the football field and what that is. I think the best and most powerful thing we can do as a coach for our kids, though, is be a great example. What does being a great example for our kids? They know that the passion and the desire and drive we bring to practice and to meetings, and they know how much we care about them. They also see us as men off the practice field. I want to lead the nation in cookouts over at my house, not just in total defense. I want those kids my players to be around my 4 boys and my wife. I want them to see Chad Glasgow as a husband and as a father and as somebody other than just a football coach too. And at the same point in time, I think it is so important that my 4 boys get to be around those guys that they think are their heroes, that they see go out there and play on the field on Saturdays and those things. So again, it's something we can all do, is be a great example for those young men that are looking up to us, and the relationships and how we're around them and what we want that to be like. Show them what we want it to be like every day, as many ways as we possibly can. I'm going to get back to coaches as teachers now, okay? And like I said, I've got a huge problem with some of the people that have come out and said coaches aren't very good teachers. Well, we've got to be not very good teachers. We've got to be great, and we've got to be elite teachers, because we get judged on the scoreboard every Friday night and in the newspaper and on television and those things. We don't get a grade on a curve with what it is. How do you become a really good teacher? We try to do it different ways at TCU. We're going to try to hit as many different ways as we can before we ever go play that game. I'm going to start with handouts, and we give them to our kids early in the week when they come in. And in those handouts, I'm going to spend a lot of time teaching them, hey, this is what that opponent is going to do. These are our answers for how we're going to do it. So I'm going to give them a handout because some guys can read that handout and they can say, okay, coach, I know what we're looking for. I know how to go do that. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to talk about video. I'm going to go and I'm going to pull clips that have meaning out that we can go teach off of. We're going to show them that video. So we've given them a handout. We've showed them on video what we want to go happen. Okay. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to have walkthroughs. Walkthroughs, which I think the NCAA has done an unbelievable deal, and they gave us 11 walkthroughs that we got to start early because of the amount of spring ball time and those things that we've missed. We've had 2 of those Friday and Saturday. Today we did not have practice, but it was so much fun getting back out there on that grass and seeing the excitement around the kids and what being a part of a team and what football means to our guys and to us as a staff and to as a university. You guys all understand those things. And we take a lot of pride in that. And it has been a blast the last couple of days to get back out there on the grass and get to be around our guys again and teach and coach football and see those smiles and see that light come on with what it is. But in walkthroughs, early walkthroughs, we're going to teach what we do. Okay, during fall camp, during spring ball, we're going to get out there 20 or 30 minutes before practice starts, and we're going to walk through our emphasis for the day. Hey, this is why we play this coverage. This is why we play this front. These are the strengths. These are the weaknesses. This is what it is. Now, as we get into game weeks, we're going to flip that switch to an opponent. Hey, this is what they're doing. This is what we've got to go stop. This is what we need to expect. And there. After we do walkthroughs in practice, we're going to have individual. How can I, as an assistant coach, set up my individual drills that will carry over and I can teach specifically a skill that I am trying to go get my players to do? Okay, so we're going to work in individual groups. Once we get out of individual groups, we're going to work in small groups. That may be half-line run stuff. That may be half-line pass stuff. But now, instead of doing it as an individual position, we're starting to grow it. And once we grow it, we're growing it little. Okay, we're not going to go from a couple of guys to 10 or 11 guys. We're going to grow it to half-line pass. It may be a perimeter option drill. It may be a half-line run drill. But now we're starting to put those pieces together. After that, then we're going to grow it some more. We're going to get into middle drills. Okay, we're going to start with bigger groups now. We're going to get into pass skelets, where now that picture is growing of what we want it to look like. But again, at the same point in time, we want to be able to focus on those individual little things that we talked about previously and going to do. After we're getting into the bigger group stuff, then we're going to get into team periods. And a lot of times we'll segment those team periods. This is going to be third downs. It may be third and long. It may be third and medium. It may be third and short. Or it may be one of each. But now we're going to start teaching them, hey, this is what it is. This is how we've got to go play in this particular situation and go from there. And then finally, we get to go play a game. That's what going back to the beginning of week and all those handouts are leading up to, is going and playing that game. And how can I, as an assistant, prepare my players to go be the best they can be and give our team a chance to win on Friday night or Saturday or whatever day that I'm going to go play? How can I put him in the best position to go be successful and help our team win? Because that's our ultimate goal. We want to win on the football field whenever they turn those lights on. Our philosophy in practice is like this. We want practices to be so much harder in the game. Why is that, you may ask? We want, when a kid gets to the game, that game slows down for them. You may say, well, how do you guys go do that? We want practice to be fast and very up-tempo with what it is. We talk all the time about when I'm trying a skill or I'm trying to do something, how do you go do that? First of all, you've got to try that skill. Then you're going to fail. Then you're going to fix it, and you're going to go try it again. It may be something you've never done before, but I'm going to try something. It's going to fail. I'm going to fix it, and I'm going to go do it again. As a coach, the more high tempo and the instant feedback that we can give them, the better they're going to get faster at that skill assessment. And the more skills that I can put in my pocket and I can go do, the better we're going to be as a team. But again, try, fail, fix it, try again, and give them instant feedback and back and do it as high tempo as you possibly can. That's how you can get a young player to go get ready when he steps on the field, when those lights are on, to go play at a high level. We talk to our kids all the time about there's so many of you that come in here and want to go play. We as coaches want you to go play, but we want you to go play great when you get an opportunity to step on that field and represent our team. Okay? How do you build confidence in a young player? I think, again, the way you set up practices and you go do that is a great starting point. That's going to be the foundation. That's going to put trust and that's going to put knowledge, and he's going to have confidence with the things and skills that he's learned and he knows how to do. A couple of other things that we use within our program. We do a video test on Friday nights at the hotel for us, and we sit in a room. First of all, we're going to start with special teams. Okay, and then after special teams, we're going to break into an offense and defense unit meeting. In our defensive meeting, we're going to do a video test. We're going to put a call up on there. We're going to put a picture up on the frame, a video, and we're going to make a call. We play with a 3 safety system, okay? And our free safety and weak safety are basically quarterbacks for us on defense. They're going to start the communication. And we are going to go through 11 positions and talk about, this is my job on this play with this call in front of the whole group. And we want that to be loud. We want there to be a lot of confidence, because again, that confidence is going to breed success within that room and teach us that, hey, we are ready to go play this game the next day. So we put a lot on those video tests, okay? I'm also big on giving my kids written tests, okay? Because again, a kid may learn and be able to write something down. But again, it gives me another opportunity that I can see, hey, he's got this. Or, hey, maybe I need to say this a different way or spend a little bit more time on it before we get to game day and put him in that situation to go do it. I think another unique thing we do is our Thursday practice. Our Thursday practice for us is something that's not script. What we will do, the GA scripts it. And the only thing he gives us are personnel group and down and distance. And we're going to practice it from a defensive staff just like a game day. We're going to make calls. Throughout Tuesday and Wednesday practice, we've really fit things together. We want to specifically run this play versus this defense, and these are the reasons why. These are the check marks we're looking to go get in this rep. On Thursdays, we don't have that luxury of doing that. We want to throw things out there and test and see really what it is. And sometimes something pops up that, hey, we've got to come up with a better answer between Thursday practice and when we go play that game on Saturday. But again, we think all of those things, from video tests, written tests, to our Thursday practice, as well as our practice tempo, really allow us to grow young players up and prepare them for when they step in between those white lines and we're playing for real, those game situations. Those are things that we spend a whole lot of time talking about and doing those things, and we try to tweak how we do it as coaches too with what it is. And I think if you'll spend a lot of time on that, it will pay huge dividends for your program. I think it's also our responsibility to teach our players how to be better men, better leaders, and better teammates. You guys have seen it, and a lot of you guys have leadership councils, okay? What is a leadership council? Have an itinerary of what you want to get accomplished when you bring that group of leaders in from your team. Okay, these are the things that we're going to talk about. These are the things that we as a coaching staff think it's important for you to have a say in. We want you to have a say in that. We're not always going to do what you say, and if we don't, it gives us the perfect way for us to have a staff meeting with the football team, and it's your job as the leadership council when you walk out to take our message to the team as well as us. I think leadership councils are unbelievable things where you can start teaching kids how to be leaders. And leadership is everybody's responsibility. We've been really fortunate to be in a situation where we've recruited some really good players throughout the years. And a lot of that is due to the Texas high school football coaches and the information and honesty you guys provide when I walk in through your door at a school. I mean, I can't tell you how valuable and how much I appreciate when you take the time to spend with me and tell me about your players and what kind of kids you think fit in with what we're trying to do. I promise I will always do my best to be honest with you and take great care of those kids with what it is. I'm going to love them like they're one of my 4 boys, okay? And if there's a problem with something, I'm going to keep you in the loop. Or if there's not a problem, it is so much fun to call a coach back or get a picture that I got recruiting a kid 5 years ago from a coach of he and them and send that back, and the kid's an All-American kid, or he's an All-American player, All-American kid, great player, even if a kid's not a great player, just how we've been a part of seeing him grow throughout the years. Those are the things that I think become really special to me as a coach the older I get, and some of those things in situations where you really get to see kids grow and take back. How have you guys used this COVID time? We did something that was really fun, and part of being around a place for 20 years, we know a bunch of guys from the past that have been here. But what we did is we went and we got a list of past lettermen at TCU since TCU started playing football. And we tried to divide that list up and call those guys and tell them hello, and we were thinking of them, and we didn't want one thing from them other than to reach out to 3 or 4 of your 5 of your older other teammates and just say hello to them. How can we create a net around each other and around kids that have been a part of our program? We got so much positive feedback from talking to those former players, and we got to touch base back with them. And some of those guys we hadn't talked to and hadn't heard from in a while. And to be honest with you, some of them I have never even met, and I've been here 20 years, but we were calling guys from 30 or 40 years ago. And everybody had different experiences while at TCU, just like each of us had different experiences as a part of our high school teams and college teams and those things. But just to call a guy and say hello, we don't want or need anything. We were just thinking about you and appreciate you being a part of our family and our team. And we're here if you need anything. Again, those are things that teach kids and teach our players to be better men, better leaders. But more importantly, how can we teach the guys on our team to be better teammates? I think our older players do an unbelievable job of when a young guy comes in of putting their arm around them and teaching them how we at TCU go about our business and letting them know that, hey, I am going to be here to help you down this road because it's what somebody did for me when I was a young player. And that doesn't necessarily always have to be older players that do that. There are a couple of freshmen right now that were redshirt freshmen that have taken new guys in already that were here and help them go down that road and help them show them that path. I think something that becomes so important, and the better we can do this as a team, as a staff, the better we can go move obstacles that are in our way. How do we as a staff learn to maneuver and to a barrier is in our way? How can we go do that? And the sooner we can do that and the more we can do those things, the farther down the road it's going to allow us to go and the more goals that we're going to be able to accomplish as a team is going to happen. There's really 4 different groups that are out there when you start talking about what is a group. And each one of those has a definition, and I think is critically important to understand when we're trying to go do something. The first is a gaggle. What is a gaggle? A gaggle is just a group that's thrown together by happenstance. There's no reason that they're there. We just happen to be here, okay? The next thing is a group. What's a group? It's a group that has kind of come together for a reason. Maybe it's a group that came to watch a football game, okay? What is it? The next thing is a team. A team is comprised of guys that have come from different parts that are typically working towards a common goal. What are we trying to go accomplish as a team? What are our team goals? Being a part of a team can be really special. But I want to hit one more thing that's a tribe, okay? A tribe now, we believe, is above a team, okay? Our tribe, we live together. How do we take care of each other? How do we have each other's backs? How well do we think alike? How do we take a step over just being a team to that next level of being a tribe? We talk about it all the time in this way. We talk about how if we were sitting in a boat, a team rows, okay? But a tribe flows. A tribe, you don't have to tell the guy sitting next to you. He already knows how you're going to react. You know how he's going to react. And we flow down those rivers. Even when that water becomes choppy, now we can always go be successful as a tribe. Where can we go and take this boat or this ship to, us get off of it and know, hey, this guy standing beside me has got my back, I've got his, and it doesn't matter what we go do. We will always take a tribe over talent. Now, we would love for our tribe to be ultra talented, but we will always take a tribe over talent because a tribe will always beat talent when how you go about doing it. We as a team can overcome a more talented group because of how we operate. How do we do our job better than that other team? And that comes from consistency, and that comes from repetition. I've heard a stat that it takes 10,000 reps of doing something to be great at it. Okay, I had a guy challenge me that did it with his wife. He said, it was really important for me to go be a great husband. But I had to do 10,000 things that a great husband did, and we got counters on our cell phones. That if we do something that a great husband does, we'll try to keep track of what it is. It's the same thing as a father. It's the same thing as a coach. It's the same thing as a friend. What kind of things, what kind of activities that I can do 10,000 times to help me become great at what I want to be? I'd like to challenge you all to go try to be great at something and start keeping track and counting those things. I talked to you about those skills tests again. How do I increase a young player's skill? I don't think it matters where you start at. And again, I'm going to go back to our ability to bring freshmen in for a month. We keep them by themselves, and they're in a group during June, typically is when it starts. Okay, we're going to bring those freshmen in. They are going to get up and eat breakfast together. They're going to go to the same class together. They're going to come over to the weight room together. They're going to start at ground zero. I think we've got the best strength coach in the country, Donnie Summer, who's been here since Coach Patterson got the job in 2001. Our kids love him, and it is unbelievable how you see kids transform over time in being in his program. But we want to keep those freshmen separate in their own little group for the first month because we want leadership amongst that group to still flourish, okay? We don't want to throw them in with the older guys initially, and a kid may not have the background to go be successful for that, and then they get labeled initially. We want to keep those guys separate to start showing them and laying that foundation of this is how we do it at TCU, okay? Be leaders within that group. And like I said earlier, it is everybody's job to have a leadership position, okay? That doesn't always mean being a vocal leader. That may be patting a teammate of mine on the butt to get him going, to get him doing those things. I think it becomes important in being a part of a tribe that we know how much we care about each other. Our players have got to know how much we care about them, okay? Show them how much we care about them. Be a part of their lives. Text them at some point during the day sometime. It doesn't have to be every day. But I've got certain players that I'm responsible for that have much better days, and their days get started a lot better if I'll send them a text in the morning. First of all, they know we're thinking about them. They know we care about them. That's not going to be anything football that I'm sending them a text about early in the morning. Hey, I'm just thinking about you. Have a great day. Be great today. What am I going to go accomplish? What do I have set forth for today that I can go become a better man? How do I become a better part of my community? How do I do those things? And again, the more things that you can talk about to them, the more things you can make relevant to a team. What kind of things can you give them to make them think about your culture, about your team? Every year we give them a new bracelet. Okay, some guys do dog tags. I've seen lots of things out there. Guys will give them little signs and sayings to put in their lockers or to put on their mirrors or keychains or those things. I think every one of those is great to get kids thinking about we as a team. What are our goals? What are we going to go accomplish? How do we go do that? And every time I look down at that wristband, I think about, hey, we're a part of this deal. Okay, and it's really special for us to be a part of this deal. We talk about riding for the brand. We think it's so special to be a TCU Horned Frog. And we don't talk about being a Horned Frog for 4 or 5 years. It's being a Horned Frog for life. And we put a lot into that. We don't let our kids wear NFL or NBA stuff or those sorts of things over here. And we don't like them wearing them out in the community. And I would encourage you guys to do the same thing with what it is, because how do we expect our boosters and people to buy in and make TCU their team if our guys won't even do that? And it's something that I didn't ever really think much about it, but our guys really they've bought into it over the last whole bunch of years, and now they take a lot of pride in it. And I think it helps build our culture. What is your culture, and how do you feed your culture? I think every day that culture has to be fed. And I think throughout time, there have been unbelievable examples of different cultures and what guys do. Y'all all know about Sparta, and you know about the Spartans. There was the movie, The 300. And from the time those guys were old enough to walk, they learned how to fight. They learned how to be warriors. And those were the guys that became Spartans. Okay? Those were the 300 that went and defended a little pass against thousands and gave that culture time to survive and time to grow and time to tweak and do those things. And what culture are we trying to build within our kids and within our program? But that's something that you've got to spend a lot of time talking about. Like I said, in Sparta, it started from the time they could walk. The male culture in Sparta was so much more important because these were the guys that were going to go protect us. These were our warriors. Who are going to be the warriors of our program? Who are going to be the guys that go fight for us when coaches aren't around? And again, going back to my role as an assistant coach, that's a huge deal about loyalty to me. What can I do to support Coach Patterson when other people aren't around? Okay, it's so important that I am speaking the same language that he is, that we as a staff are speaking that same language. Because what you find out when you're all speaking the same language, your world becomes smaller. It becomes tighter. We know exactly what we're saying and doing. Along those lines, I think it becomes so important that when we teach and we say the same thing that coordinator and that head coach are going to say when they're talking about something. So when I go and transition from that meeting room onto the field for that walkthrough, we're not using one term that's different. Coach Patterson and I have been together 25 years, but every year during the spring and summer, we go back and see if there is one word we can change that makes more sense, or one thing we can change that allows our guys to go think faster, maybe solve a problem faster, but put them in a situation where they can go be more successful as a football player. Can I change something that I've said to help him go better, go do it better? And like I said, we've been together 25 years now. And every year we'll have something that makes a little bit of difference, we think, with how we go teach. I think something else that becomes really important, teach in a same uniform fashion. When I teach my guys, I'm going to teach alignment, stance, key, and assignment. And if you'll take the first letter from those, you'll come up with the acronym ASCA. Alignment, stance, key, and assignment. And ASCA tells me this: if I ever have a problem and I will go back and ask myself the answer to that question, I'm going to be able to solve that problem. But what it does for me as a coach, it forces me to get on that train track and teach the same way over and over and over. Every year when we go to spring ball and every year when we go to fall camp, I'm going to pull out my notes from day one of last year. And I'm going to look about things that we struggled on, okay? This is how we taught this. This is what we did. This is something we tweaked. And did it help us or did it not help us? That forces me to take great notes before practice, but it also forces me after practice to write on my practice script, hey, this is something I want to do a better job of. I didn't feel like I did as good last time. Or this is how we taught this deal. And immediately our kids had that concept down with what we did. Or maybe we tweaked a drill to go do something that way. But again, it's like lesson plans for your classroom. Go back and spend some time studying those. What did you feel really comfortable and what path do you have as a teacher that you can teach and give those kids down that train track? Alignment, stance, key, and assignment. And now, how few of words can we say each of those in? And now he's heard it from me. He's heard it from his position coach. He's heard it from the head coach, all the exact same way. And now a kid, all that starts sinking in. But just think when you go into a meeting somewhere and somebody is talking about a concept and then somebody else is running that meeting, and they may be talking about the same concept, but they're using different language, or they're saying it different ways. That doesn't sink in with me near as well, and we want to try to avoid those things with our kids. I think something else that becomes so powerful within your team is sharing your scars. What does sharing your scars mean? I learned this from a guy that was a Navy SEAL, and he sat up in front of a group and he unbuttoned his shirt and he said, "You see this scar right here? It's where I got stabbed. This one's where I got shot one time. This one's where I had a broken arm and they had to operate on it." I talk to my players and our kids all the time about sharing their scars. What have I been through as a person, as a player, that's going to help one of my teammates not have to go through the same thing? Can you learn from something that I've done that does not become something that sets you back a step, or something that injures you, or something that puts you in a position where, hey, I could have learned this skill by not having to go through the same bumpy road or move those obstacles that you've already moved. I think it's so important to share your scars as a person, as a man, as a teammate with other people, because there may be somebody that's going through the exact same thing that you've already been through now that helps us. Again, we've talked about speaking that same language. I would challenge you all to do it. How's a good way to do that? Go video yourself. Go video your position meeting. And then sit down by yourself and say, hey, this made a lot of sense. I said what I thought I said. Or you may say, golly, my point really didn't come across when, if that's an 8th grader that's coming up for the first time and he's a freshman, how can I set that standard? What do I want his floor and foundation to be? And it takes time, and you've got to go practice that. Use your lesson plan, use your notes, do things out there that give you an idea to say, hey, this is how I'm going to go become a better teacher. These are some things that are there. What are some other things I can go do as a coach to become better? We've had staffs that come spend 3 or 4 days with us every year for the last 15 years, okay? They think there is great value in doing that, and they'll come at different times during spring ball or something. Some of them like to come at the very beginning where they get to see the whole install if they've got new coaches on their staff, or some of those things. But how can I go learn? How can I become a better man? How can I become a better coach? How can I become a better X and O guy? There's clinics, there's camps, there's all of those things that are out there where, what can I do to go study? One thing I want to be remembered at, and I think it's like Coach Honeycutt, what's my legacy? Okay, my legacy when I leave a place, I want it to be better than it was when I got there. How do I go do that? That's going to be so much more than just wins and losses. So much of the time we get judged and based on what we go do as a football team by what was our record. Yeah, those records are really, really important. And if our records aren't very good, we're not going to be there very long. But when I walk in and I'm given the keys to a place, how am I as the keeper of the keys, the person that helps elevate that program? Okay, did my facilities change? Did my inner circle, has my culture, how has it changed? How are we taking more pride in being a Horned Frog than we did before? How are we reaching out? How are we growing? And how supportive is that net that's there? Find somebody that does something really good and try to go emulate that. Spend some time with them learning what makes this so good. Is there something out there off-season wise that we can do different? I'm going to go back to the very beginning. And one thing about getting to know your players, I think we do an unbelievable and different job of, is spending time with our players in the off-season. Okay, we are either on the running group field or in the weight room every day with our group of kids. They get to see us. And it's some of the same things that I love about going out and seeing how you guys do things during your off-season, be it a boot camp, how those kids are running and sprinting, and they've got 5 minutes from the time that bell rings to get down to the locker room, change clothes. Let's have unbelievable energy and enthusiasm because now we get to be with our team. These guys I really, 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 really care about. So many guys are out there that they may go to school And being able to be a part of a team and play football is one of the huge reasons they go do that. They may not like school so much, but when it comes time for athletic period and football practice and those things, those are the best parts of the day, and those are the best parts of the time. And I think we've got to embrace that. We've got to continue to feed that within our culture, where when we come down here or when our guys walk across that street to come here, anything else that has happened doesn't matter, and we've got to be able to block that out. And now is our time to get to be together as a family, as a team. How do we go grow? How do we take a step at being better with what it is? I think being elite, be it a team, be it a person, any of those things, elite people have characteristics of what they do. First of all, they're balanced within their lives. Okay? The highs are never too high and the lows are never too low. Okay? One thing you've got to do to be elite, you've got to create high ground for hard times, or create high ground for hard days. Everybody is going to have hard times and bumps in that road. And you don't know when that's all going to happen. But you can't wait until something hard happens to go prepare for what it is. There's so many things that we didn't know 3 or 4 months ago about Zoom meetings and WebExes and all those things that we've been cast into something now that we've had to learn and we've had to grow. I think it's an unbelievable thing that we've learned of us still getting to see our players' faces on a day-to-day deal. In Zoom meetings, it's unbelievable because you can all talk to them and you can still have that feeling of a group. I think that you've got to be elite. You've got to be able to cultivate areas of your strengths. Coach Patterson talks about it all the time. As an assistant coach, you've got to be great at something, okay? Some guys are going to be great X and O guys. Some guys are going to be great recruiters. Some guys are going to be great teachers. What can you go do? What are your strengths? And how do I cultivate those where I continue to emphasize on my strengths? What can I go be great at? To be elite, you've got to be curious. You've got to be able to ask the question, why? Okay? Why is this happening? What happened? We talk to our players all the time about the whys. If a kid can understand why we are doing something, now it gives them a chance where they're going to become more of a coach on the field and solve their problems, okay? Next, to be elite, you've got to be intellectual. You've got to be able to think, okay? I've got to be able to see something out there and, first of all, identify that problem, and then how can I go solve that problem? What are different ways that we can come up with to help us go do that? And then finally, elite guys have got to go be tribal. They want to be a part of something bigger than a gaggle. They want to be a part of something bigger than a group. They want to take that team to the next step. Hey, we want to go be a tribe. We want to flow. We don't just want to get in the boat and row. I think it's something that sunk in with me. I heard a Navy SEAL talk one time, and he said, why do we train? We train all the time because we don't know when that fight is coming, and we want to be prepared for that fight whenever it happens. Okay, that fight may be, I'm in the state championship game and somebody gets hurt, and now there's a young player that's got to step up. That's why we've trained. That's why we've tried to teach and put you in positions that this happened. Okay, it may be COVID, and we may lose players for a game. But the better job we can do training our down the line guys that when they step on that field, they just don't play, they go play great, the better as a team and the more success we are going to be able to have. So again, push those deals and train. Championships, you've heard it all the time. Championships aren't won during the fall. Those championships are won back in January, February, March, through those boot camps, through the off seasons, through the spring balls. What's that foundation again that we've laid? And then how, when football season comes, can we start stacking bricks on top of that foundation and really building us a house that's going to withstand whatever storm comes our way? Something that's been a little bit different for me is now the older you get, you used to be wanted to be the arrow that was shot in and put me down right in the middle of that fight, and here we go. Now, the older we get, I'm more of that archer, and now you can shoot a lot more arrows out when you're the archer. Again, what's my legacy going to be with what it is? I take a huge passion in being around young coaches. We get the opportunity to take guys that have been former players or guys that for some reason became a graduate assistant and became with us. What can I do as an older coach to help show them what this profession's about. The thing I talked about with Coach Honeycutt earlier, I mean, that was something that happened 25 years ago at a little clinic that I just heard him talk about, and I think it was on a Tuesday night, but it stuck with me for a really long time. Bill Miller was my position coach in college, and Bill Miller, when I got into coaching, he taught me how to treat people. If somebody calls you, you call them back. If you can help somebody do something and they need your help doing it, and if they can't do it for them. Teach those young guys how to go do it. I've got a huge problem with, we hire a new coach. Okay, he's a graduate assistant. He's done an unbelievable job. He gets hired on as a full-time guy, and now immediately he's thrown out there on the road to go recruit. So many guys don't know how to recruit unless they've been taught to do it, and the NCAA gives us no ways that we can teach a guy to go recruit. In the old days, you could throw a GA in your car with you and take them and say, okay, this is the important part of it, and they can see how you go do something. And I try to do recruiting the best that I can, and I try to give you guys, and again, thank you for guys that I've ever recruited your school. Thank you for your time, your wisdom, your insight on players, because those are the things that make a huge difference, and I promise I listen to them, and we listen to them as a staff. But I want to be able to give you time. I may get in 3 schools a day, but they're 3 great visits of what it is. I may not get in 12 to 15 schools every day. I may not get in 8 schools, but I want to give you guys the time that you want and need, and I want to be able to help you solve any problem that you've got. I want to be stepping in your door in years that you don't even have players. I want to be that guy, if you've got a question about something, or if you want to go learn and do something, I want to be that phone call that you're going to pick up first and go do that. I think one of the things that becomes impressive the older a guy gets is, take Michael Phelps, for example. The last Olympics he was in, his talent level was not what it was 8, 10, 12 years before then. But that's what made what he did in those Olympics so special. He was older than his talent. He'd kind of outgrown that, but he found a way within himself to still go win at the highest level you can go win at. How can we take our kids, how can we as coaches play past our talent level? One of the things I talked about is how we went and played as a team, as a group. How can we as a tribe go overcome a talent gap? Okay? But then how can we make the most of that talent that God has given us? One thing that is so important to us within our program is mastering the things that take no talent. Again, I think that becomes one of the baselines in our pyramid. And in our team room, we do a pyramid every year that talks about our goals. And at the top of that goal every year is going and winning a national championship. But the foundation of that is, what kind of chemistry do we have as a team? Okay? How much do those players care about each other? How much do coaches care about players? And how much do coaches care about coaches? Because I think all of those things become so important at the base level of being a successful team. Okay? We have got to have great attitude. We've got to have great chemistry within our room when they come across the street within that locker room. Again, goes back to the leadership council. Who's going to police that locker room when coaches aren't around? When our kids walk across to the dorms, who's going to police that there? When they're out together at night, when they're in social settings, who's going to police that? I started doing something about 5 years ago, I think, that has been really helpful for me too. At the end of every practice, once we finish meeting as a team, we come over as a position group. And at the end of that meeting, I go around and I look at every one of my kids in the eyes and I say, have you smoked or drank anything that you shouldn't have? And I make them answer that question verbally in front of their teammates, okay? The reason I do that is I want to be able to be an excuse for my kids if they are in a situation where they're not comfortable. I want them to say, hey, I know Coach Glasgow is going to ask me tomorrow at the end of practice if I did anything I shouldn't have done. Now, are kids always 100% honest with you? No. But it always gives them an excuse and an opportunity to use and to blame me, and give them another reason to say no, and tell them that it's okay to go say no with something that makes us a better team or makes me a better person if I'll go do that. What other things can we go do to master the things that take no talent. Okay. Again, as a player, being on time, same thing as being a coach. I can play with unbelievable effort. I can have great passion. I can care about others. If I've got passion for what I do, it exudes out of me. Okay, you've all seen that one guy at practice that's an unbelievable practice player. And whenever he's there and on his game, boom, that whole practice goes so much better. We talk all the time about, hey, should we go find a bunch of guys just standing on the street and give them $25 in an NFL shirt and put it on and come out to practice? Because whenever NFL scouts are there, those practices seem to be so much more crisp and they go so much better. Same thing when we go watch you guys practice. It's so much fun when you go out to a place where there's 10 or 12 college scouts that are out there watching practice. That practice, you know, is going to be flying around. Plus, you know, you've got a lot of players if you've got a bunch of guys that are there. But find things within your program and within your culture that you can do that take no talent, that make us a better team. And then finally, I want to close on this, and I've talked about it a little bit. What is my legacy? Okay, when I leave this job, or when this season is over, when this group moves on, how will we be remembered? I can go back 30 years of guys that I played high school football with, and guys that maybe I haven't seen because I've not had the chance to go back to Woodward, Oklahoma in that time frame very much. My family's not there anymore, and we don't ever get to go back to homecomings or any of those sorts of things. But I'll see a guy's name on Facebook, or somebody will call me. That's not a guy that I've heard from in 30 years, but those memories come back of being a part of that team, being in that locker room, what it meant to be a part of a team and how special that is. Cherish those moments and try to teach those guys that are a part of your team now of what it is. Teach them to care about others, teach them to give back, because that's ultimately how can a guy come into our program and how does he leave? That's our legacy. Okay, once this 2020 season is over, that group of seniors moves on. They're not a part of our team per se anymore, but now they're a part of our family for as long as they're around. Stay in touch with those guys that have been through your program in the past, and care about people, and really give of yourself and teach kids how to go be better leaders, be better men, and be better teammates. Because if we'll do that, what we'll find on the football field, a whole lot of things are going to take care of themselves. I want to thank, again, Coach Martin and Coach West and the whole THSCA opportunity for giving us the opportunity to be here. And again, what our goal at TCU is this. We want those doors to always be open for you guys to come here. If there's ever anything we can help you with, please don't hesitate to ask us. You all have our phone numbers, and come to spring ball anytime you want to. I want to wish everybody luck as you go prepare to win a state championship this year. There's guys that won state championships last year that now are trying to take that step and get back and go do it again. Good luck to them. You're now the hunted if you're one of those guys. Okay? If you're one of the guys that are the hunters, find a way to accomplish your goals. Have fun this year. Enjoy this process, and we look forward to seeing y'all soon. Thank you.